The jQuery CSS method allows you to change one or more CSS properties of a DOM element. And here I'm changing the color to the hex value 800000. And so if I just drag that into the page and click any one of the elements, the color changes, as you can see. But let's just say that I want to change multiple attributes or multiple CSS properties. So then I might do something like this. I would call the CSS method twice, and so here I'm changing the color to, as we mentioned earlier, and then I'm also changing the background color. So then if I were to try that example again, as you can see, now there's two CSS properties changing in each case. If I inspect the page, as you can see, when I click each element, it gets a style attribute, and there are two CSS properties changing. There's the color and there's the background color. But that's pretty inefficient. There must be a better way to do that. So instead of calling the CSS method twice on the same element, this right here is very inefficient. So what we can do is we can call the CSS method once and pass it an object. So instead of passing it two strings, I'm going to change this to an object, and this object has multiple properties. So now I'm calling the CSS method once, which is much more efficient, and I'm passing it an object that has two properties. So now if I were to retry this, as you can see, I'm getting what I need. I'm getting the font color, the color changes, and the background changes. And I'm getting the same exact effect in the DOM. I'm getting these two properties for the style attribute. In fact, if we wanted to change a whole bunch of properties, we could get rid of this object and pass in an object with a whole bunch of stuff here. As you can see, I'm changing about 7 or 8 CSS properties here. So now, when I reload the page and I click one of the elements, you can see a whole bunch of stuff changes. And if I inspect each element, you can see there's several style properties of the style attribute changing here. So the main thing to keep in mind is that with the CSS method, although you could pass it two strings by providing the property name and then the new value, you can also pass it an object, and that object can have as many properties as you want, and this way you can only call the CSS method once, which is much more efficient, and pass it as many properties as you'd like to change.